Probably one. I'm live? Okay, cool. I have my awesome assistant Brittany behind me, and she's going to be helping us go live on Facebook today, 1 o'clock, and I think it's 1 o'clock now. I'm so excited. She's also going to be getting our laptop set up over there so we can see any questions coming in. I'm going to be taking questions, comments, concerns, all of the good stuff. So hopefully you guys can hear me very well and you can see. Brittany's going to be zooming in on some of the things I'm going to do. I am starting with Brother, and that is because Brother is the first brand we ever carried here at the Stitch House back when we used to be called So Dallas. And I love Brother for many, many reasons. So that is why we're kicking this Monday off with my favorite tutorials and tips and tricks using the Brother Luminaire. We're also going to use the 1600E in this video as well, and it's going to be a very informal video, so please feel free as we go along. I'm just going to show you some of my favorite things on both machines, why both machines are great, especially if you're stuck inside right now, and we'll probably be here for about 30 minutes just kind of playing together. Again, if you have questions, please let me know. So like I said, Brother was the first product that we had. I have been a loyalist of Brother for a long time. Let me grab this bag and show you. It was when I was 16 years old. My mom used to own a store in Tampa, Florida called Keep Me in Stitches, and that's where I'm from. And I was grounded one summer, but I think my mom always grounded me on purpose. I was grounded one summer, and this is back when the machines didn't have as large of hoops as they do now, and I'll show you the hoop size on this machine in just a second. Store sample. So this is my first ever store sample, and the funny thing about this bag is that I didn't get it until I opened my own store, so my mom brought it to me and said I could finally have it back. So Mom, if you're watching, thank you. I do love this bag still. I've actually never functionally used it. It's just been a store sample for like 15 years. So I'm going to show you a little bit about embroidery and why I love embroidery. I've been embroidering for I guess my whole life. And I have some good tips and tricks, especially if you have the capability of one of these awesome Brother Luminaire machines, because these machines just really, really can do just about anything. I'm going to show you a few of my favorite things today. First things first, I kind of want to show you some really easy things Brother came out with on this Luminaire in particular, the XP1, that made it really simple for sewers, embroiderers, quilters alike. They really changed a lot of cool things on here, and I love it. And I'm going to talk about needle choices, bobbin choices, all that kind of stuff as well. So my favorite new thing on this machine is that the stitch plate lifts up just like this. So there's a little gray button here. We used to have to use screwdrivers and stuff to take the stitch plate up, but now the stitch plate just completely comes off, and I can see all of my area down in here where I typically will get, like I've got a little thread stuck in there right now, where I'll typically get little threads, or if I'm sewing on something like flannel or minky, I can kind of get in and clean out this area. You always want to like lift up when you're cleaning out. Don't use canned air and spray things down in there. They make little vacuum tools, little attachments and things like that. So the Luminaire comes with two different plates. This is the standard plate, and there's a nice wide hole here. And that's so I can do zigzags, decorative stitches, and things like that. It also comes with a straight stitch plate, which is really great for if you're quilting, if you're doing any type of free motion work. There's a straight stitch only plate. It's not an additional accessory. It's included with the Luminaire, and I love it. So this is the plate we're going to be using today for when I'm going to show you a few things, and I'm going to pop it down. Next thing we're going to do is put our bobbin in. The Luminaire uses a standard 15 class bobbin, and this is where I go old school on you, because if you come into the store and you've shopped at the Stitch House before, or you know anything about me, you know I'm not a huge fan of pre-wound bobbins, and that's for a few reasons. One, you really have to buy a really high quality pre-wound bobbin to know that you're getting the correct tension wound onto the bobbin. And every time I use this particular bobbin thread in my machine, no matter which machine it is, I have really good results. So we have this on our website. It's called the Finishing Touch Bobbin Thread. It's a 60 weight polyester. It's been around for as long as I've been embroidering, and I've always wound my own bobbins. So the Luminaire also has a really easy bobbin winding mechanism up top here where I can change. So if I'm using like a specific color, maybe I'm using a 60 weight from Embellish thread or something like that, I can wind my bobbin more or less. That's a new feature they added on top here on the Luminaire. But I always wind my own bobbins with finishing touch, depending on what I'm doing. But this is my standard go-to embroidery thread for the bottom, and I really like it. A lot of people, when they're starting out embroidering for the first time, they don't know that you just use one color. So for the majority of everything, we use a white 60 weight bobbin thread. And it's really easy to drop your bobbin in on the Luminaire. You just drop it in, it goes up, around, and it cuts off. Can you guys see that on there? Can they see it in the thing? May want to get closer coming up. And then I just put this little cover on. Some other really cool features that they've added to this machine, especially if you have the upgrade, and we'll talk about that in a second, is they've added that you don't have to put your presser foot down before you embroider anymore. They also have a really great needle threader. We're going to thread up in just a second, and I'm going to show you how easy that is. And before we do any of that though, I want to talk about needles that I like to use as well. This is the Floriani Chrome Schmetz needles. Particularly, I like the 90 size for most of what I'm doing for embroidery. This is also a personal preference, but the 90s work really well when I'm trying to use my automatic needle threader. It's a nice wide opening for my needle threader to get through the eye of the needle. Now, obviously, depending on project, that could change, but this is the needle I'm going to use now. So it's the Floriani Chrome Schmetz 9014 embroidery needles. And I really like these. They're really simple to get in, flat side to the back. And I stick it all the way up in, and then I lock it down nice and tight. I also love Floriani thread. I'm a Floriani girl. So the Floriani thread works really well. I just pulled it off of my multiple spool thread stand. Something that's really cool about the Luminaire that I don't know if you guys can notice right now is if you had the Dream Machine or any other previous models, the lid used to sit up like this. And if you had a TV back there, it'd probably be hard to kind of see what was going on. Now they made the lid lay flat, and that's for two reasons. The first reason is they included this really cool magnetic spool stand that I don't have on here right now, so that you could put big cones of thread and wind from there. But I don't have it on, but it does come with it. It's an included accessory. Or you can thread your machine from this area right here, which is what I'm gonna do. So I'm taking my Floriani thread. It's very shiny, really nice. And I'm going to load it onto my machine and thread it up. If your presser foot is down, it will actually close a little lever right here for you. Your tension gauges need to be open when you're threading for the most part, so the little door actually helps you to remember that your presser foot's down and your tension gauges are closed, which is another really cool feature of the Luminaire. And then I'm going to press this button here. And of course it didn't thread on the first time, but hey, we're live. I'm gonna press this button here one more time and make sure that my needle threader is working. Okay, it's not, but we're live. And it usually works 99.9% of the time, so we'll have to see why that's not working. We used all of these in an event, and obviously I did not try this before we started. So we'll be good to go there. I'm not gonna actually stitch anything out just yet. Okay, so now that my machine's threaded up and all that kind of great stuff, I want to talk to you about some features actually on the machine. So let me flip it around and make sure that you can see the machine here. Oops, not me. You want to see, there we go. Okay, so we're going to focus a little bit on the sewing and embroidery part in my design center of the machine. Something I wanted to show you guys first is that you can sew or embroider with the machine set up as it is, which is really, really nice if you like to do both. So for example, if I'm a quilter, but I maybe want to add embroidery to something, I don't have to take this whole arm off and put something else on. When I click to sewing, it knows and it actually moves my whole carriage over to the left side for me, which is really nice. And then also additionally, when I go to embroidery, I can click this button here and it's going to move it over back into the center, ready to embroider, and also pulls up my embroidery screen right now. So one of the big features of the Luminaire is that it's very easy to use. I tell people all the time when they're intimidated by this size of machine that this machine actually does most everything for you. So it's one of the easiest machines to learn to use in the store. It requires the least amount of effort and steps because a lot of those steps are automatic in this machine. So even if you're just getting started with embroidery or you haven't been embroidering too long, I hope this machine doesn't seem that intimidating. I know the size is, but once we get into like kind of learning how the functionality works, it's gonna be really simple. So let me just show you some basics as far as navigation goes. Say I wanted to type a name and add something to it. I could really simply pick from any of my fonts. Everything's really easy, just like an iPad, you can scroll. It's really bright and you can see it very well as well. So if I just picked a font here, I could go ahead and start just typing my name in, just as if I was on a computer. I don't need software or anything to do that, and I get a nice bold name there. You also have this really cool feature where you can click enter. I can do spacing. I can adjust it so it justifies left, center, or right. So much like you would be able to use on a computer right now.
They can't hear you.
They can't hear me at all?
His mic is not working.
My mic's not working? We're gonna figure this out. You can hear me? I can hear you. Okay, I'll talk a little louder. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to now go ahead and click set, and oops, we've got this. I did not check and see what we've got going on here. Pretend you didn't see me do that. But now I've got this really easy embroidery design to kind of move around here. So if I tap, if you can't hear me, try turning up your computer volume and seeing if maybe that's it. We've got a mic about a foot from my face, so hopefully it's working. You can tap and you can drag around and move a name really easy, and I could do that with most things that I'm gonna do. So if I click add, I could come in and grab another design. With Brother, you get all these really cool Disney things built in. I love this one with the flowers. It's a Mickey or Minnie face with flowers all built in, and then you can add things to it really simple. And then I just touch, and things that I wanna edit, I can edit very easy because I have this awesome button up here that says edit. So if you were just sitting down at this machine for the first time and you had never used it, it'd be really simple to kind of sit here and say, I want to rotate this. How do I rotate it? Or maybe I want to adjust the density of it. How do I adjust the density of it? There's lots of really cool features. If I click text as well, I also can come back to my text screen and make changes. I can arc it. I can change that arc to be more or less. This would be great for anybody going on like a Disney cruise or maybe their first Disney trip together. They can create really cute little jackets or shirts and then put your name around it just like that. So all on my screen, it's really easy to drag designs in that are built in and then drop them in, click embroidery, and then go. And it's showing me a whole list of all my different thread color changes. Now, right now, each thread color change here is each individual letter, but as we move on, you could see it'll start coming up with different colors. Another favorite thing about the Luminaire that the other previous models didn't have is this does have the Floriani thread chart in it, and if you're a Floriani person like I am, then that will be really helpful to you because you can use the exact Floriani number based on what's in the machine. So this is just some basic navigation on the machine. It's really simple to kind of play with. Again, don't be intimidated by this machine because of the size of it. A lot of what you want to do is built into this machine, so it's really fun. Okay, something I want to show you guys next is I want to show you some placement. So we've picked something to embroider. And this is the mega hoop here. I don't know if you can see this in the screen, but this hoop, can you see it? This hoop is 10 5/8 by 16 inches. It's huge. This is the largest hoop the Luminaire comes with. It does come with smaller hoops as well that you don't have to purchase additionally. And this hoop has a really nice space for doing the back of jackets, doing really long names on things. You can rotate designs and do them this way. You don't just have to go this way. It's a really, really great hoop. Right now, I've got a pattern drawn on here. It's supposed to be like a shirt. So these are the buttons, that's the collar, there's the pocket, and we're gonna do some placement on this really quick. So if you needed to embroider something for someone, and it had very difficult placement, maybe someone gave you like a $90 polo to embroider, and they want their name at the very top here, and they want it to be perfectly straight, how would you do that without measuring forever? Let me show you. So we're gonna go back into embroidery here, and I'm going to select a font. And we're going to say this shirt is for John, And John wants his name right above that pocket here. So I'm gonna go ahead and type John. All right, and we're gonna click set. And now what we're going to do is we're going to actually scan in our hoop here. So I'm going to click my little camera up here. I don't have to go someplace else to do this. I'm gonna click my camera and then I'm going to click scan. And then if you bring the camera back just a little bit, you can actually see the hoop moving. So inside the Luminaire, there's a high-res camera built in right up here. There's also a projector, which I'm gonna show you in just a second, and we're going to scan in exactly what's inside the hoop. So it's taking a bunch of pictures at one time, and it's going to pop up on our screen in just a few minutes. And it's really quick, and it's really easy, and this is the easiest way to get placement on any machine, anywhere. So it's one of the reasons people love the Luminaire. Any questions so far? I'm just talking. I love this machine, you guys, so I could just keep going on and on. Stop me with any questions you have anywhere in between here, and I'll be happy to help answer them. The other cool thing about this hoop that you may see is they put a ratchet system on the bottom. This is the first one, so it's easier for you to get things in and out of the hoop. And again, this hoop's included with a Luminaire. Okay, check out my screen. This is awesome. So on my screen now, you can totally see that I have, you can see where my shirt is. You can see my placard, you can see my buttons, you can see my little pocket here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take John and I'm just gonna move it right up over my pocket. I like to zoom in and make sure I get it exactly where I want it, so you can zoom in here. You can grab your little hand and zoom even more. Maybe I wanna make sure that it's gonna line up and sit exactly. Do you see how my pocket's kind of on an angle? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to edit the name. I'm going to rotate it just slightly so that it sits in line with this pocket, and I'm going to bring my name down just a little bit so it's right on top. And there's perfect placement for my embroidery, because now when I go to embroider, look, notice where my needle moves. Now just to double check to make sure we have it exactly the way we want it, we're going to turn the projector on. So that's this little cone button up here. And I get a little red box that moves around. I want to make sure that the red box is moved to where John's name is, and we can see the pocket and make sure that everything lines up. So there's my embroidery for John, and how, can you see it? Sometimes it's hard with the projector with the camera to see, but can you kind of see it on there? That's awesome. So there is how I can use the projector to make sure. And if I wanted it closer down, I can actually move it down while my projector's on. Maybe I want my end to hit that line of my pocket or for some reason, and I can make sure it lines up exactly because my projector shows me exactly where it's going to stitch out. So there's no messing around with measuring or placement or anything like that. That's all built in the machine. So really easy for you to just put a name on something quick, which is probably what you guys get asked most to do by your friends when you're embroidering. So I wanted to show you that first because it's really simple to do in the Luminaire. It's not as simple in other machines, but the Luminaire does have the camera and the projector. It's the only machine with both. There are other machines on the market that have a camera. That would be the Dream machine, and the Stellaire has an external camera, but the Luminaire is the only one with a built-in camera that Brother is still making currently at this time. And it's a really, really nice feature to have it built in and not external. Okay, so let's move on to something really fun now. I love showing that sample. But now we're going to turn a drawing into embroidery. So this is a scan mat, and it comes with the Luminaire as well. If you had a Dream machine or you've ever seen the Dream machine in action, you've probably seen this before, but the scan mat is an included accessory with this machine, and it comes with these magnets too. And we're going to go into my design center to kind of make this work. I hope I am enticing some of you right now, because I'm going to tell you the package deal that we have for this when I'm done with this demo. But it's a really awesome machine. I promise you, you cannot be bored at home with this machine. It is really cool. And there's so much you can do, endless possibilities, like this next thing. So on my scan mat here, I've taken just a regular piece of printer paper and 2 of the magnets that it comes with. You don't have to use all of them. And I'm going to sign my name. My mom hates that I put hearts over my eye. She used to make me rewrite papers in middle school when I would do hearts and like the bubble letters. She hated it. She was a school teacher. So okay, so I signed my name here, but think of this as anything. Maybe this is a grandparent's recipe. Maybe this is a child's drawing and you want to turn this into stitches. What I'm going to do with this right now is I'm going to show you how we can create a quilt label really quick and easy just by scanning this in. So if you notice on the side of the scan hoop, I've got this really cool area that looks just like a regular hoop. So it slides onto my arm just like anything else does. And then it locks down. So we're going to go to my design center now. And I'm going to actually use the camera built into my machine and scan in this image. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to tell it to scan a line design and then click scan. It's going to ask me lots of questions. And then just like it did when it took a picture of our hoop so that we could do placement, it's going to take a picture of whatever is on my scan mat and create it into stitches in the machine. This does not totally replace digitizing, but you can do some really cool things with this. I'll show you the cool aspect of it next. I have seen people use old recipe cards and put them onto towels for people, like handwritten recipes. It's been really great. I've also seen people take kids' drawings and put them onto backpacks. It's just a lot of fun what you can do with this. My favorite thing for this would be if I were to give a gift, I'd love to sign my name on it, you know, made in 2019 or whatever you want to say on there. But it's really, really just a really cool tool depending on how you use it. We do a lot of this in our Luminaire Club classes as well. We have 12 of these Luminaires in our classroom. And we go over all kinds of things like this. Okay, check out the screen. This is awesome. So now I have this screen and it's showing me exactly what it scanned in. So I have these little red arrows here, so I'm gonna actually crop out these little arrows. I haven't been able to get a manicure in a while, so my nails are looking funky. Okay, and I'm gonna click OK. And then I'm gonna click set. Really easy. And then I can get rid of the background altogether so I don't see it at all. And I can move it around just like a regular embroidery design now, which I love. But if I want to make this a quilt block, let me show you how quickly we can do that. So I'm going to size my name down just a little bit. And it's going really slow. You can see the numbers changing up top there. And I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to click next. And I'm going to click set. And I'm going to get rid of, we didn't stitch that out, so I'm going to turn my background image off. There's my embroidery design. With just a few clicks of a button, I'm actually in my embroidery screen now. So I've taken my signature, and I'll pull this out so you can see how precise it is. And I've turned it into an embroidery design without actually having to use software, which is really cool. And it's very, very precise. I can make it smaller or larger as well. Just like any other embroidery design, which is really great. And now what I can do is I can come in and add other things to it. So if I wanted to use my regular built-in script, I could come here and put made by and click set. And now I basically have two embroidery designs that I'm working with. So I can embroider this on things, I can add this to a quilt block, anything that I want. Another great idea that I've seen people do with this is for memory quilts. I had someone come in one time and they had a bunch of squares they were going to sew together where people actually used a Sharpie and wrote on these squares like memories of people. And we wanted to, instead of just piecing together the squares with the Sharpie on it, we wanted to scan the squares in and turn it into embroidery so it would last longer. So this is how we did that using that same concept. If I went to embroidery, you can see this is one embroidery design and I'm ready to go and stitch the whole thing out without software. Really, really simple, which I love. So that's one way to use My Design Center. I'm going to show you one more way to use My Design Center and then I'm going to talk about the package that it comes along with. This is made by one of our awesome instructors. Her name is Peg. And I had to show this. Peg had her Luminaire for about 3 or 4 months before she made this bag. This was an Anita Good Design pattern. It was actually a quilt originally, but they had an option in the book to change it into a bag, which I just thought was really cool. Everything is done in the embroidery hoop here. So using basically what I like to call like the square by square method, or tile seam method, as Anita Good Design calls it. Each one of these blocks you sew individually, embroider individually in the machine, and then what you do afterwards is you sew them together. So everything, including the pockets, even the lining of the pockets, even the bottom of my bag, even if I open it up in here, you can see we've got more pockets on the inside. This is all done in the hoop of the embroidery machine. So the only sewing together for this afterwards was really adding the straps, which we used the Move It foot, and I'll show you that in a second. And then also just sewing together the blocks and putting it on the bottom. But again, all done in the hoop of the embroidery machine. And Peg doesn't know this, but I'm stealing this bag when we're done with it. I'll give it back to her. But I really love the bag. It's a really great summertime bag. So one more thing Peg did that we taught in class, but a lot of people have seen, is this is the Dream Big panel. And this is, there's multiple ways to do this panel, but my favorite way is to use the Luminaire. And so I'm gonna show you how we scan one of these in and how we get it into looking like a quilt like that. So first things first, I'm going to use my dime hoop here, and I'm going to take it out of the sleeve. That's just the bottom. Okay, so the awesome thing about this hoop is it's magnetic, and there is something that goes in between because otherwise it could be hard to get off. But the way we did this was we already had a quilt sandwich before we even started. So if you've been thinking about an embroidery machine maybe not being for you, maybe this next sample I'm gonna show you could change your mind, because embroidery doesn't have to just be names and things like that like we're expecting of it. Now embroiderers are really getting into quilting, and quilters are getting into embroidery and vice versa, so we're kind of melding both worlds together. The first time we've really seen a lot of that is when the Luminaire came out, because they added so many great features for quilters to use their embroidery with. So let me go ahead and put my coffee down, and I'm going to show you, we're going to actually take this hoop, and because it's magnetic, I can really easily get both of my pieces, my top, my bottom, plus my batting in here. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to pick a flower or a leaf, and I'm going to put that on the bottom. There we go. Flip it around. And just like that, I'm hooped up for exactly where I want to start embroidering. Now, obviously we've already embroidered ours, but you're gonna get the idea for what I'm going to do. I'm gonna actually work with this leaf section right here, and I'll show you how we scan it into my design center, easily place a fill, and then I'll tell you a little bit about how you can adjust those fills. So once this is an aftermarket hoop from Brother, but it does attach on, have it on upside down. It does, I was wondering. It does attach on the same way as all of my other Brother hoops. Let's make sure we're perfect. So it's got the same connection right here, and it also, the machine reads, so it knows what size hoop you have on here, which is really nice. I got tons of space in my Brother machine, so depending on what I'm getting ready to do, I know that I won't have to fold up too much. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna lift my presser foot all the way up, and I'm just gonna slide my pieces underneath. Perfect. And I'm gonna make sure I'm nice and tight here. Now again, we're not gonna actually embroider on this, but you'll get the idea of what we're trying to do. Now, even though I have, look at all this space I still have to roll my quilt up, and I even have more as well. So for quilters that are looking to add embroidery onto any of their quilts, like this Dream Big panel. It's really simple to, I'm all the way at the left side, so I probably could have gone and done it on the right side and not had to show you this, but I really like being able to show you that no matter what size quilt you've got in here, or whatever you're planning on doing, you have lots of space and then some. So if I were to roll this correctly, it'd be really easy to kind of get it in underneath there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to my design center. That's where we do all the creative stuff built into this machine. And I'm going to scan in what's in my hoop here. Now, I'm gonna remind you, I'm looking for this block that's already embroidered. We're just gonna pretend I don't have it embroidered. And I'm going to click scan, and then I just want an image scan. So I don't want it to actually create what I've got here in the stitches. I just want it to show me the background so that I can see exactly what I'm working with, so I can place my embroidery wherever I want it. And just like it scanned before, we'll get a scan again. Notice this machine's really quiet. I know that we are on Facebook right now, but the machine is quiet because they've added a lot of upgrades to the motor system of this machine. So not only is there a new motor in the actual machine itself, but there's a motor in the arm as well now, and it really changed how quiet this machine can get. It's great. And one more pass. So see, when the embroidery arm's all the way to the left, look how much room I've got here for embroidery. And I just kind of help my quilt through. I don't want it to drag really. Perfect. Okay, so now when we look at the screen, I can see really lightly, or I can open it up. There's my scan. And remember, we're gonna work with this leaf right here. So here's what I'm gonna do. I can change my background to show nothing, or I can have it show a complete version of what I just scanned in very vividly. So for the purposes of what we're going to do next, I kind of like to be somewhere in between. I don't want to see the background completely, but I don't want it to just vanish. So somewhere where I can still see. You can plug a mouse into here, or you can use a great stylus, and I'm going to use my finger because I don't have either right now, and show you how easy this can be. So to place quilting in a specific area, all you have to do is give it a boundary first. So we're going to come in here and tell it exactly what kind of boundary we want it to give it. I don't want this boundary to be stitched out. You could stitch out the boundary. So if you drew a circle around something, you want it to be a nice thick zigzag or a satin stitch, you could select that. Maybe you want the boundary to be like a triple stitch or even a blanket stitch. You can also do that, but for quilting, I don't want any boundary. And then I also want it to close whatever line I'm working with so that when we fill in my quilting, it doesn't just go everywhere. Think of like the old school Microsoft Paint. If there was like a little missing connection, then it would just fill everything purple. So I have options on here which are really great to close it. Now what I'm going to do is trace this leaf here, and I'm going to start at the top and grab my pencil. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to just kind of drag around. I don't have to be perfect because I can come back in with my eraser and my paint tool when this is done. So I'm going to get it as close as possible. And if I delete the background altogether, you can see the line I just drew around that leaf. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my leaf back up, and now I'm going to add a fill stitch in. So I come into my paint bucket, I come into my settings, and then I'm going to come into all of my different fills. The Luminaire has all of these fills included. There's the upgrade that we're also including with the Luminaire right now, and it has even more fill stitches than this, which is very cool. My favorite fill stitch to show though right now are these circles, and I'll show you why in just a second. So I'm going to tell it I want to use those circles, and then I'm going to tap right here, and there is my fill. It's really, really that simple. I wish there was more for me to show you, but that's basically it. Now I can get really detailed because I'm a little bit neurotic like that, and I'm going to zoom in and pan over, and I'm going to turn up just a little bit so I can see some places I've missed. No problem. I can actually grab my paint tool here, and I can come in and paint and add into areas that I've missed. And also, if I've gone over in areas, I can grab my eraser, click OK, and I can erase in areas that I've gone too far in. So I can really move all the way around on here. Like, so if I don't like where those circles are kind of heading down here, I can just grab my eraser and erase it so that it doesn't hit into another block or another petal. And if I go, oops, too much, there's a reverse button. So you have a lot of really great options here with the Luminaire. So now what I'm going to do is only in the Luminaire do you have this option. So in my Dream Machine, I would say, okay, these are my circles and I like them, but you've got something called random shift here. So we're gonna actually make this look like quilter's pebbles because those are the hardest things to do. And we're gonna shift these. And we're also going to, look at that. We're also going to change the size just a little bit so we make them smaller. And it will show me in real time how cool it looks just stitched out there. And then I can click set, I can click OK. It's an embroidery design now. And so if I clicked embroidery, my embroidery foot's gonna move to the center and I'd be ready to stitch out what I wanted to do next. This next part might be hard for you to see, but I'm gonna try to show you anyways. To make sure it's exactly where I want it to be, I could turn my projector on and I can see if my pebbles or whatever fill design that I have going on here is going to fit exactly in here. And I can move it around. So can you see that, Brittany? I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah. So you could kind of see where that red is. It's hard because something's already embroidered, but I'll show you this. Here, look. There's my embroidery design exactly where it needs to be. So you can see the pebbles. You can see that I don't have a thick outline because that's what I chose. And then basically what I would do is I would embroider section by section. So I'd finish this whole section here. I'd unclip my, unclamp my hoop, magnetic hoop. I'd move it up into the next section. I'd go back to my design center and I'd repeat. So it's really, really simple. Anybody have any questions about that?
How is it simple sewing and piecing?
Oh, you guys want to see some sewing stuff? Who's challenging me? Is that Beverly?
No, Diane.
Who?
Diane.
Diane? Okay. Beverly told me she was going to send in some hard questions to try to stump me. So let's go back into the sewing mode. So let's talk about some really cool sewing stuff first. Screwdriver. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go back into sewing mode because I just showed you a lot of embroidery stuff. And watch the machine as I click sewing. So I'm going to click sewing here and my whole arm moves over. So I could really use this whole workspace. I don't have to take the embroidery arm off and I love that. I'm going to show you some of my favorite features of the sewing aspect. And it starts with this foot right here, which intimidates everybody, I know. But this is an awesome, awesome tool for piecers, for quilters, for people that make garments, for bags, anything. This is like what I call a walking foot on steroids. It's made by Brother. It's called the Move It Foot. And it comes standard with this machine here. Right now there's not a sole plate on it because there's different options to attach this sole plate. So this sole plate is the one that comes with it and it's really simple. They just pop on and off like this. There's another one that you can get as well, which I don't think I brought in here, but I'll tell you about it. It's a 1/4 inch sole plate, and it's how I get a perfect 1/4 inch using this machine. So depending on what you're doing, they make open toe ones, they make stitch in the ditch, they make a lot of great sole plates that just really easily interchange on here. The difference between this walking foot and other walking foots is this is belt driven. So you keep constant pressure moving on your fabric the whole time. So think of like Minky or like even these handles. Peg told me when she did these handles, she used real leather and she used the concept I'm going to show you next, but she went straight through this leather onto this embroidered stuff without any issues using her Move It foot, and it was really, really simple. So this is a great tool for anybody, and I really love using the Move It foot, so I'm going to show you how it works in just a second. It actually plugs into the back. It's awesome. There's a little motor inside. First, I'm going to take off my embroidery foot, and this embroidery foot is awesome because one of the features is it has this little wiper, so as it cuts your jump stitches when you're embroidering, it actually moves your thread out of the way. I love it. This is my J foot and ankle as well, and if you'll notice, they're very long, and they're also wide because I have extra long feed dogs and nice wide feed dogs here. Just like other top of the line machines, this machine doesn't just sew back and forth, it also sews directionally as well, and I can show you some of that in a second. But let's put the Move It foot on because I really like it. So don't be intimidated by it. There's only one place that you can put the Move It foot on. You can't do it incorrectly, I promise. But I like that once I plug it in, the machine knows that I have my dual feed foot on. So it knows what to do. So the second I plug it in, I get DF for dual feed up top there. And I'm going to take, let me thread my machine up again. We had some issues threading it earlier. We're gonna give it one more shot on the needle threader. Nope, that needle threader's missing, so let me thread it up really quick. Luckily, I can still barely see to thread. Sometimes the needle threader does go out. It's not super uncommon, depending on if you have been trying to rethread a needle that maybe was bent. It's a very small wire in there. It's a really quick adjustment from our technicians. We usually don't even have to replace the needle threader. The cost of the monster hoop. The monster hoop is not on our website. Sorry, Brittany's holding up questions. The monster hoop comes with this machine right now. It's not on our website just yet, but we will be adding them later this week. So you'll be able to get a price on our website and support us by buying it online. But it comes with the machine that we're offering right now. Okay, so I have my movement foot attached. I've got everything threaded up. So I'm just gonna show you a basic straight stitch, and maybe Brittany can zoom in on this. And then I'm gonna show you some really cool stuff. So most machines can do a straight stitch, and that's not impressive. But I'm gonna put my presser foot down here, and I actually have my foot control plugged in. So watch this belt as we move along here. It's going to kind of pull. I'm gonna go slow so you can see that belt moving. But basically what that belt is doing is it's keeping constant pressure on my fabric. So no matter how fast I go, it's pulling my fabric through. Whereas a traditional walking foot kind of walks along the top. So I really love this Move It foot because no matter what type of material I've got on, I can get a really consistent stitch. And then when I get to the end of my fabric, I don't get all that shift. Okay. So that's using the Move It foot traditionally. I'm gonna turn my pivot feature on and leave my needle down. So I can pivot with my Move It foot as well. So what it just did now was it dropped my needle down into the down position and it lifted my foot up. I don't have to do anything here. I don't have a knee control or anything like that. And I can start sewing. And then as I get to a corner, I can turn again and then just keep going. So for quilting, this is really awesome. If I wanted to chain piece my next piece on, I could easily do so. I'm gonna stitch off the edge of the fabric, and then I'm going to hit my scissors, and I'm gonna show you how great of a stitch we get on just a straight stitch. I haven't even shown you the cool part yet, but just a really consistent straight stitch that's really nice. I actually have embroidery thread and 60 weight thread, so I have competing weight threads in here right now, but you guys will get the idea. Okay, so now I want to show you the real reason this machine's really cool. So if I'm a quilter or a piecer, there's a lot of great things built into this machine. Can you see the projector down here, Brittany? This is the stitch that I have chosen right now, but I want to show you, say for example, you're getting ready to do a blanket stitch on something, and you want to make sure that blanket stitch, let's see if I change the color, red, green, oh, black kind of shows up well. And I wanted to make sure that blanket stitch looks perfect in this area. I can lengthen my blanket stitch, and I'm going to, in real time, be able to see what that looks like on my fabric. I can also control the width of my blanket stitch, and again, in real time, see what that's going to look like on my fabric. So there's no other machine where you can really audition your stitches without trying them out multiple times. So that's a really, really cool feature of this machine. I can project my stitches down and see. Now, I will show you the blanket stitch is like kind of cool, but built into this machine, I'm going to project down the coolest stitches, which are my Disney stitches. And you won't find these anywhere else. But say I wanted Mickey's head. Oh, doesn't want me to use my dual feet foot. That's okay. Say I wanted Mickey's head, and I click my projector here to project my stitch down so I can see what it looks like. There's Mickey's head that I'm getting ready to stitch out on something. And again, that's only in the Luminaire. You also have really cute things like these little princess shoes with the stars. And again, all auditioning. So if I needed it to fit directly in these letters, I could, except for with Disney, you can't size it, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's go back And let me go back to utility stitches because that's what most quilters want to know about. My straight stitch, my zigzag, my blanket stitches. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how the projector works for my fabric. So I can turn my projector on and you can see two lines that just popped up. I can change these lines to match whatever I'm doing. I can also shorten them or lengthen them. They're really great. For example, one line could be what I'm lining my needle line up with, and the other line could be what I'm lining my fabric up with. And I can change those lines really easy just by touching on my screen. So you can see those lines kind of moving. I'll use a piece of paper so it's easy for you guys to see. So you can see my lines kind of moving here, depending on what I want to do. And then you can also make them just one line. If two lines bothers you, I can also make them shorter depending on what I'm trying to aim for, which is really cool. But I like them nice and long so that as I'm going along, I can see. But it doesn't stop there. There's more. Let me turn my projector back on. Okay, so I want to show you, where did it go? Okay, I also have a grid feature. So you have this really cool grid right here for when you're sewing. Something you can maybe see on the screen if you're watching is my grid size can change. So I can make that grid 1/4 inch. Maybe I'm doing some matchstick quilting and I want 1 inch or 1/2 inch lines in between. So I can continue to change this grid size. There's my 1/2 inch mark, and check out my grid on my fabric. Or my paper for right now. Check out my grid. It's really easy actually to see on fabric, but it's easier probably for the camera to see on paper as well. But I have a nice grid so I can project and stitch down exactly where I need it to be. In fact, I can stitch on paper. So I can, as my machine moves, my grid stays in place, which is really nice. So if I need that grid to kind of point out, maybe I've just done a straight line and I need that next line to line up exactly on my grid, here I could go for it just like this. And it's really, really simple to keep in place. Another really cool thing besides the grid is I also have angle projection lines. So if I'm doing 90-degree, like Y seams, 60-degree or 45-degree, I also have that as well. And I can open up my seam allowance on these angles, which is really cool. I'm not a Y seam girl. You may want to ask Emily more questions about Y seams. But if you do anything where you're piecing on an angle and you need them to connect perfect, the Luminaire has that all built in for you to do just as well. Let me hit my scissors and cut. What other questions? Anybody have any other? Look at that, even on paper. Anybody have any other questions for the Luminaire? Anything you'd like me to show you? Anything that you're stumped at home trying to do but can't figure out before I talk about like our package and stuff like that? No? Nothing, Brittany?
Nothing.
Okay, so let me talk about our package and then I'll show you our 1600E so we can do that package too. So obviously you get the machine. The most important thing that you're going to get as well as the machine is the store. And we plan on adding more tutorials and things like that to our online catalog on YouTube as well as our website coming up really soon. We have an awesome person working at the store now, Brittany, who I keep talking to, who's really good with media and all of that, and we're going to really expand our online capabilities. But the in-store experience is just as important, and even though we can't have that right now, I wanted to talk to you about what it looks like when we can. So we have 12 of these in the store, and they are all for you to use. I don't believe that this is a machine that you should have to move back and forth to a lot of places. It should really stay in your room once you set it up. So when you come to class, we have this, plus we also have this awesome garage that has your move it foot and your J foot and ankle and all kinds of things inside of here. And you can use this so that you don't even have to bring things like your J foot and your ankle when you come to class. It's really, really nice. So hands-on education is really important. We have a class that meets monthly. It's called Luminaire Club. And every month we do a different project on the machine that's hands-on and based on what's built into your machine. Last month we did a project using the playbook that is awesome addition to the machine. And we used continuing connecting borders using this auto quilt sashing that's built into the machine. So we get really in depth with things built in. And like I always say, there's no reason to buy this machine unless you know that you're going to get support, hands-on education, and really good follow-up classes and lessons, because otherwise then it's just a sewing and embroidery machine. But this machine can do so much more depending on who teaches you how to use it. So we really love that. Let me show you what comes with the package. So we're going to include a few of my favorite things. So included in the bundle is going to be the Monster Snap Hoop, which is, everybody wants one of these for the machine, and it will be the largest size, 10 5/8 by 16 inches, which is really great. It also includes the upgrade number 1. This is the upgrade number 1 that Luminaire came out with, the Brother came out with in October. Upgrade number 1 was pretty expensive, but we're including it with the machine so that you can already have the latest version. Inside, it has a lot of really great features. It's got a 10 5/8 by 10 5/8 inch hoop, which is really nice. And it also has built-in embroidered couching that it added. There's some really great additional features like more decorative fills, and the laser pointer for your embroidery. So there's some really great things, and this was a pretty expensive addition. This is also included with the Luminaire right now. This may not seem like a big deal, but if you were a previous Brother owner and you have this really nice foot pedal, this is the one that comes with the Luminaire now. It's kind of sad. So I believe that everybody should have the really good foot control. This is the dual function foot control, and it moves forward and back so that you can use it to thread cut or single stitch, reverse stitch, pattern up, needle up, down, things like that. So this is all included with the machine as well. And one more thing. We're also including this 120 spool Floriani thread pack because I think this is the best thread on the market. Can you see me, Brittany? She's looking at me like you can't see me. It's okay. This 120 spool thread pack, because if you're going to get home and start embroidering, you need all the good thread. So this has a retail value of over $720. This is also included with the machine right now. So just to reiterate, if you're going to buy a Luminaire from us, we have free delivery right now to all of our customers. Is it raining? It's so nice. We have free delivery to all of our customers right now, and we will deliver all of this stuff. It's all in stock. So you'll get the thread pack, the upgrade, the foot control, and the Monster hoop from Dime, the Monster magnetic hoop. In addition to that, our classes that we offer here at the store are free, so you don't have to pay for those when we do get to start classes again. Otherwise, we always will help you over the phone, and any place that you may need via email, we're always here to help. I'm going to show you one more machine in a totally different price range really quick, and then we'll be done. Okay, so not everybody is in Luminaire territory for an embroidery machine, and I totally get that. So I want to show you my next favorite alternative, and there's not much to show because I've shown most of it on the Luminaire, but this is a really great machine from Brother. It's called the 1600E. It's an embroidery only machine. The reason I love this machine is because it has a 6x10 hoop, which is really, really nice. It has a color screen, so I can see everything going on the screen. And then it also has that really nice hoop mechanism that slides on just like the other machines. A lot of people, when they're coming in to first get started with embroidery, I always tell them about this machine because it's a little bit more robust than some of the other internet models. It has more capabilities inside, and you'll get further with it longer than you will with like one of those 5x7 or 4x4 machines. So this is a really great place to start if you're thinking about embroidery, and we're going to be including that 120 spool thread pack of Floriani thread, so you'll really get started with the best thread that you need on the market. It's really simple to use and thread up. It's got a needle threader, and this would be a great, if you have a big embroidery machine, this would be an awesome machine to bring to like a retreat if you're looking for a second machine. They do make a sewing embroidery combo of this, but a 6x10 hoop is a pretty nice size. You can edit on the screen here, which most people can't with the lower end machines. So with this machine, I can add patterns together. So I can select one thing, click set, and now I can add something else to it up top. It's really simple to use. And if I click edit end, I'm ready to embroider. And if I click embroidery, you can see all of my colors here with a preview with my overall design. So this is a really, really good machine to get started with. And like I said, we're including the over $700 worth of thread with it, and we have these in stock as well with free delivery. So please, if you have any questions about any of these machines, let me know. You want me to?
Someone wants to know about this.
Oh, someone wants to know about this? Okay, so hopefully those packages were enticing. Okay, so the dual function foot control is really great because, like I said, the Luminaire does not come with the dual function foot control. So I think that it's a must to have. You can do many things with this. So the way it works is, like a regular foot control, you can press forward and go forward. But it also has a programmable step 2, which you may be able to see right here. And that's a back kick on the foot control. So on the back kick, here's what you can do. You can select from the following functions: thread cutting, single stitch, reverse stitch, needle position up or down. So it's almost like a second hand to help you while you're sewing. And it's a really, really great add-on. These are for sale individually, or if you buy the Luminaire, I'm including them with them as well. Individually, they're at a great price because we have almost everything in the store at 20% off right now. And I love this foot control. So if you guys have any other questions about it, please let me know. But I always keep these in stock because I think it's a must-have when you get sewing. The other foot control is sad. So I'm not a huge fan of the small little gray one that comes with the Luminaire. So I really enjoy this as an upgraded feature. Any other questions, Brittany? No? Okay, well, hopefully you enjoy my rambling today. And it's kind of a rainy day, but I do want to say that our package pricing is available. And all you have to do is give us a call or send us an email. We'd be happy to help you navigate your way through your next embroidery machine purchase. We are here to help you, and we will deliver it. So if you're itching to do something right now, please let us know, and we'd love to see you soon. Thanks.